What she thinks day by day after you disappear, modern Stoic. Absence sharpens love. Presence strengthens it. Thomas Fuller. When you step back, not out of bitterness, not to manipulate, but from a place of inner peace and unwavering self-respect, the entire dynamic shifts. You don't slam the door. You don't leave with a dramatic exit. You simply vanish, silently, with intention. And in that silence, something powerful begins to happen. At first, she brushes it off. She thinks it's temporary, a mood, a moment. But with each passing day, your absence begins to echo louder than any words ever could. Day 1. She convinces herself you'll return, that it's just space. Day 2. The silence starts to sting. She wonders, is he gone for good? Day 3. Doubt morphs into discomfort. Did I matter to him? Or did he just wake up? Now her mind begins a journey she didn't choose. Not because you punished her, not because you made a scene, but because you were stoic, because you disappeared with dignity. This isn't about ego or games. This is about self-mastery. This is about reclaiming your peace in a world that thrives on emotional chaos. You didn't react. You didn't beg. You didn't fight for attention where respect had already left the room. And that, my brother, is what she'll remember. Not the words, not the arguments, but your stillness, your silence, your refusal to entertain anything that didn't align with your worth. In this video, we're going deep into what happens in her mind, day by day, after you walk away with power, not pain. From the quiet moments of disbelief to the long nights when your absence becomes heavier than your presence ever was. This isn't just about emotions. This is timeless Stoic philosophy applied to modern relationships. You don't plead. You don't explain. You simply exit with grace and let her wrestle with the echo you left behind. Let's begin. Number 1. The Vanishing Act. She's surprised, confused. Your silence hits like a pause she didn't expect. She checks your messages again. Maybe she missed something. But there's nothing, just stillness. What was once predictable contact now fades into an unfamiliar calm, and each day amplifies that absence. At first she rationalizes it. Maybe you're just busy. Maybe you're playing hard to get. But then a day turns into 3, and her mind begins to fill the gaps with questions. Where is he? Why hasn't he reached out? The same man who once showed up for every text, every thought, is now nowhere to be found. And what she can't grasp yet is that your silence isn't punishment, it's power. As Epictetus once said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. A Stoic man listens to silence. He retreats not to wound, but to realign with his own center. He is not pulled by emotional turbulence, nor does he seek validation in confusion. He observes, reflects, and if needed, exits, not for revenge, but for clarity and peace. That calmness, that space, speaks louder than words. On day 4, she starts feeling that space more intimately. She hears your voice in the quiet of her morning routine. She notices your absence in the small rituals, the meme you always sent, the morning good luck text, the unexpected support when her day went wrong. She starts to see that what once felt constant is now deeply missing. She might test the waters with a story post or a subtle flirt, hoping for a reaction, but nothing comes. Because a Stoic man, a disciplined man, does not chase breadcrumbs or respond to emotional fishing lines. He knows attention is not given for free. It's a gift that follows effort. You remain unmoved, and in that stillness, her curiosity turns into vulnerability. Now, she's not just missing you, she's questioning herself. Why hasn't he folded? She wonders. She expected you to give in, to break the silence, to need her. But your silence is not weakness. It's a testament to your wholeness. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. You vanished, not out of malice, but out of mastery. A week in, she realizes, you didn't ghost. You transcended the noise. You didn't need to win her back. You needed to win yourself back. And that realization hits her harder than any argument, any dramatic exit. She didn't lose a man who needed her. She lost a man who chose himself. And that shakes her more than any fight ever could. In the end, she begins to crave not just your presence, but your peace. The lesson here, brothers, is this: emotional discipline is the loudest statement a man can make. So to all who listen, have you ever walked away quietly and watched what unfolded? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let the silence speak your strength. Number 2, echoes of you. It's only after you disappear that the echo begins. Quiet at first, but unmistakable. She begins to notice the void you left, not because it's loud, but because of how profoundly quiet it is now. Your presence lingers in her daily life in subtle yet unforgettable ways. When her world slows down, your voice comes back, not in words you're currently speaking, but in the memory of how you once asked how she was, how your laugh, not overbearing, just enough to wrap her in calm, brought stability to her storm. You didn't need to control the room. Your power came from your stillness, your quiet confidence, the emotional sanctuary you provided without ever announcing yourself. You were like a lake, unshaken, deep, and reflective. And now that she stands at the edge and finds only dry ground, she begins to thirst for the peace you used to pour into her life. You see, the Stoic man doesn't shout his value. He lives it. He doesn't demand affection or chase after fading attention. He brings peace like a gift and departs when that gift is taken for granted. Not out of anger, but from a place of deep self-respect. At first, she didn't take your silence seriously. She assumed it was temporary, maybe even tactical. A test. But with each passing day, your absence begins to feel different, heavier, not aggressive, not manipulative, just undeniable. She scrolls through her feed, and your face doesn't appear. She posts a story, but you don't react. Her inbox remains untouched by your presence, and yet your silence speaks in volumes louder than any reply ever could. That's when the reflection begins. She finds herself comparing other voices to yours, other moments to the steadiness you once offered. Nothing quite fits, because you weren't just present, you were intentional. You listened without interrupting, gave without keeping score, led without controlling. And now, in the absence of your presence, she starts to feel something deeper. A realization. You were not ordinary, you were rare, and rare is always remembered. A man who begs for validation is easy to forget, but a man who walks away silently, carrying peace in his stride and strength in his stillness, that man stays. He stays in the corners of her mind, in the moments she wishes she could rewind, in the space where your calm used to be. That's the Stoic way. You didn't disappear out of bitterness. You simply recognized your value. You knew when to remain, and you knew when to let go. And in doing so, you became the very silence she once felt safe in, now amplified by your absence. She sits in it now, finally understanding. It wasn't just silence, it was you. And that realization, that echo of you, is now louder than any words you ever spoke. So, as you carry this thought into your day, I ask you, has your silence ever spoken louder than your presence? Have you ever seen the power of stepping back instead of chasing? If this resonates with your journey, take a moment to like this video, or share your reflection in the comments, or simply write. The silent conversation speaks volumes, because sometimes it's not about what's said, but what's felt when nothing is. Let us keep walking together through the timeless power of presence, absence, and the Stoic difference. Number 3, respect awakens. Now she understands the silence wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a testament to strength, the kind that doesn't need to shout to make its presence felt. It wasn't about rejecting her. It was about reflection, a moment of pause. You chose not merely to punish, but to safeguard your own peace. Initially, she misread the situation. She assumed perhaps you had stopped caring, or maybe your interest had simply waned. But as she dwelt in the void you left, her perspective shifted, bringing everything into sharp focus. You didn't disappear like someone who ghosts out of fear or uncertainty. You took a step back like a man fully aware of his own value, a man who doesn't engage in disputes over affection, who doesn't plead to be noticed, who doesn't pursue those uncertain of his worth. Your departure wasn't fueled by anger. It was guided by clarity. You are acutely conscious of what you contribute. Your presence is never haphazard, never born of desperation. It's always intentional. Thus, when you choose to withdraw, it carries significant weight. And now she truly feels the impact. She begins to discern the difference between someone who vanishes to dodge accountability and someone who steps away because their worth isn't reciprocated. You didn't demand her comprehension or acknowledgement. You simply allowed the silence to convey your message. And within that quiet, she finally grasped the essence of what was happening. This wasn't about her losing you. It was about you rediscovering yourself. Now, confronted with this stark contrast, she recognizes precisely what she forfeited. Not a boy who fled in fear, but a man who stands firm, opting for self-respect over fleeting validation. Number 4, attention shifts. She starts posting more often. A fresh selfie here, a mysterious quote there. She's texting her friends non-stop, booking her weekends, keeping busy like nothing's wrong. On the surface, it looks like she's moved on, like you never even crossed her mind. But here's where Stoic wisdom clears the fog. People often hide their deepest wounds behind the loudest noise. While she keeps herself busy and floods her days with activity, there's a quiet space inside her mind she can't seem to silence. And in that silence, your absence echoes. Because you're not texting, you're not chasing, you're not reacting to her bait, you're not playing that emotionally exhausting dance most men fall into. No, you're anchored, composed, and in that silence, you are more present than ever. He who is brave is free, said Seneca, and your bravery is in restraint. You didn't disappear to manipulate her. You walked away because you know your worth doesn't require validation. That's what shakes her. She can't wrap her head around a man who doesn't need attention to feel significant. Your calm demeanor wasn't just an act. It was a discipline, a lifestyle rooted in meaning, not emotion. You're not cold. You're just no longer willing to perform for someone who couldn't see the value in your stillness when it was hers to hold. She checks her story views, wondering if you saw. She posts a cryptic quote, hoping it stirs something in you. But it doesn't, because you've risen above the back-and-forth drama. You've chosen to live by principles, not impulses. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." And in this case, your best revenge, if you even call it that, is your complete lack of emotional dependence. You are not playing the game because you've stopped needing the scoreboard. And while she distracts herself with the noise of life, she cannot escape the quiet question that creeps in during still moments. Why doesn't he come back? That silence becomes a mirror, forcing her to see not just what you were, but who you were. The man who brought peace, not drama. Presence, not pressure. You didn't need to prove anything then, and you don't need to now. Your absence isn't punishment. It's self-preservation. It's choosing peace over performance. And men, if this speaks to something you've lived through, take a deep breath and remember, your silence is not weakness. It's wisdom in action. It's a declaration of value, your own. Real men don't run from emotion. They master it. So stay grounded. Keep building your peace. Because she's not just missing a man, she's missing a presence that can't be replicated. And that, brother, is something no selfie, no quote, and no distraction can replace. If you've ever experienced this kind of quiet strength, I invite you to share your story below. How did you navigate that silence? Or if you're walking in it now, simply type, "My silence speaks for me." Let's show the world what real Stoic power looks like. Number 5, doubt creeps in. Doubt creeps in, and that's when everything begins to change. The moment you vanish from her world, she doesn't notice it at first. She posts, she smiles, she walks proud as if nothing ever shook her. But the silence, your silence, starts to echo louder than any argument ever could. In that silence, questions begin to form, and they don't come with rage or arrogance. No, they come like whispers in the night. Was it something I did? Did I push him away? That confident mask she wore, the one that once made her feel untouchable, starts to crack. Not because of anything you said, but because of everything you didn't say. Because when a man like you, a man of value, of presence, of substance, disappears, it's not noise that fills the void. It's realization. She starts scrolling through old messages, looking for signs, replaying your voice in her mind. She's not searching for closure. She's hunting for the exact moment the energy shifted. But here's the truth. You didn't change. You didn't go cold. You didn't play games. You didn't ghost her in some childish attempt to get a reaction. No. You simply stopped showing up in a place where your presence wasn't respected. You stopped pouring your time, your energy, your effort into a woman who never held out her hands to truly receive it. That wasn't revenge. That was wisdom. That was the old Stoic truth. Don't explain, don't chase, don't beg, just withdraw. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And you, brother, are free now. Free from the emotional trap of giving without being valued. Free from performing, just to be seen. You didn't explode. You didn't accuse. You didn't demand anything. You withdrew. And you did it with calm, with clarity, with power. That's not passive. That's intentional. That's Stoic detachment. And now, in the stillness of your absence, the one thing she never expected starts to bloom. Awareness. Time is now doing what you no longer need to do, teaching her. And make no mistake, that's not cruelty. That's growth. That's what happens when a man chooses to guard the peace he bled for. When a man who's mastered emotional discipline decides to fall silent, it's never a threat. It's a boundary, a fortress, a shield. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. You didn't retaliate. You elevated. You protected your soul, not to punish her, but to preserve yourself. And now, ironically, the very thing she once labeled as indifference has become a mirror. She sees all the times you showed up with consistency, and she shrugged. All the small sacrifices you made without recognition. All the ways she believed your presence was permanent, until it wasn't. Now your silence screams. It reminds her of your absence every time her phone doesn't buzz. Every time she feels that invisible emptiness when your name doesn't appear. You've become the question she can't stop asking. And the answer, it's not yours to give anymore. It's hers to find. That's the quiet power of a man who no longer fights to be understood. A Stoic man knows. Validation from others is a prison. Real power is found in restraint. You don't argue your worth. You don't chase after recognition. You don't beg for clarity. You are the clarity. And now, without you saying a single word, she's beginning to feel what you carried all along. The weight of effort that went unnoticed. The slow erosion of your presence in a place that didn't value it. And now, in that cold silence, she's learning. Not because you tried to teach her, but because you stopped trying altogether. This is where you step into true masculine control. You didn't just walk away, you ascended. You stopped pouring into a broken cup and started pouring into yourself. That's power. That's maturity. That's self-respect. You don't need her applause. You don't need closure. You don't need the apology, because your absence has already become the loudest presence she'll ever face. And in that void, she will either grow or repeat. But either way, you're done waiting. So here's the call to action, brother. Stand in your silence. Own it. Don't return just because she finally noticed what she lost. Let her sit with it. Let her grow in it. That's how strong men lead. From stillness, from dignity, from unshakable peace. And if this message spoke to something deep inside you, if it reminded you of who the hell you really are, then like this video, comment below. My silence is power. Subscribe if you're ready to rise into the man who no longer explains himself to those who never listened in the first place. This isn't about revenge, it's about reclaiming your throne. Now go, live it. Not for her, for you. Number 6, testing the waters. She will test the waters. That's what they do when they feel your absence echo louder than your presence ever did. A harmless emoji on your post. A sudden story that screams nostalgia. A message that pretends to be casual but is carefully timed to stir your emotions. She's not reaching out because she's changed. She's not coming back with clarity. She's fishing. Fishing to see if you're still orbiting her world, if you'll break formation, if you'll trade your dignity for another round of meaningless attention. But you won't, because you've evolved. You've stepped out of the arena of emotional manipulation. You're no longer a participant in her game. You've risen. You've chosen power. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And that's exactly what you've done. You're not the man who chases breadcrumbs. You're the man who builds a feast of his own. A man with purpose doesn't flinch for a like. He doesn't cave in for a ha-ha. He sees the game, he understands the bait, and he calmly walks past it, not because he's bitter, but because he's disciplined, because he knows the cost of slipping back into chaos. Because attention without intention? That's noise. And you, my brother, have silenced the noise. You've built a fortress of self-respect. Your energy is no longer up for grabs. You're not desperate. You're deliberate. And while she's watching, waiting, wondering why you won't react like before, you remain still, stoic, unmoved. Your silence becomes your loudest message. You don't explain. You don't defend. You simply don't return. That's power. That's control. That's the kind of presence that makes her rethink everything. She thought your silence was punishment. But it's not. It's evolution. She didn't expect the man who once chased her shadow to become the man who now walks in his light. She underestimated the strength of your stillness, the depth of your detachment. She expected weakness. She found a wall of fire, because when a man finds his purpose, he doesn't run in circles anymore. He walks a straight line, forward, always forward, never back. As Epictetus wrote, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. You've said it. Now you're doing it. No explanations, no justifications, just action, measured, masculine, magnetic. And now she's the one feeling the FOMO. She's the one questioning. She's the one stuck in the loop while you're out building your legacy. So here's the truth. Her tests don't deserve your reaction. They deserve your silence, your focus, your mission. Let her wonder. Let her feel the weight of your absence. Because you, Stoic brother, are not in the business of chasing what tests you. You are in the business of attracting what respects you. So ask yourself, have you ever found power in saying nothing, in holding the line instead of folding? If you've tasted that kind of strength, drop a comment below and type this one powerful affirmation. Purpose over breadcrumbs. Let it echo. Let it inspire. Let other men know this is how we rise. Like, comment, subscribe. Because the more men who master this mindset, the stronger our brotherhood becomes. This isn't just advice. This is war strategy for the soul. And in this battle, discipline wins. Every time. Number 7, pride and panic. Her pride instructs her to remain detached, to stay cool and seemingly unbothered. She reassures herself with thoughts like, he'll come back. He always does. But this time, something feels distinctly different. The silence has changed. Gradually, it begins to gnaw at her. Not because of any dramatic words you uttered, but rather because of all the things you didn't say. You didn't plead. You didn't offer explanations. You didn't attempt to mend what wasn't your fault. You simply vanished, but with your dignity intact. That's the hallmark of a Stoic man. Your absence is palpable, precisely because your presence was always significant. When you were around, you were fully present, focused, grounded, intentional. You were the listener, the steady hand, the calm in the storm. You were there in ways that mattered, in ways that brought stability where others brought disarray. So now when you step back, it doesn't come off as just another mind game. It feels substantial, meaningful. It's not a tactic, but a genuine shift. A moment of unexpected clarity for her. Now she's left to sit with this new weight, pretending it doesn't affect her. Yet the silence speaks volumes, louder than her pride is willing to acknowledge. Because a man like you doesn't exit lightly. You offer opportunities, embody patience, and provide chances to mend fences. But once you retract your spirit, once your own peace becomes more vital than proving your value, that's when the real impact hits her. The absence, the profound stillness, the palpable space where your positive, supportive energy once filled her days. And the stark truth, it's not merely the silence that's tearing at her. It's what the silence signifies. A man who understands his worth and isn't afraid to step away when that worth isn't acknowledged. A man who knows when to leave, leaving a void that wasn't anticipated, but is profoundly felt. This is the real lesson of silence, not just the quiet, but the respect and self-regard it represents, echoing loudly in the void you've left behind. All right, my friend. Thanks again for being here with me today. Remember, this isn't just theory. It's real wisdom, real life. When you go silent after walking away, you're not playing mind games. You're choosing peace. You're choosing clarity. And that quiet decision, it speaks louder than anything you could ever say. So here's my honest advice to you. Stop chasing what brings you chaos. Stop trying to prove your worth to someone who should have seen it from the start. Let your silence do the heavy lifting. Let your calm presence say everything that words never could. Because a man who truly knows his value doesn't need to shout to be heard. He simply walks in quiet power. Stay grounded, stay strong, and most of all, stay true to who you are. Take care, brother. I'll see you in the next one.